What I wanted to talk to you about is the health of our community. Because collectively, I feel very strongly that we are responsible for the health of our community. That's something one person cannot fix or improve. We as a society, we as a group, we as a group of individuals, friends, neighbors are the one who can do tremendous amount of things in improving the health of our community. And the reason I guess I have a tiny bit of authority to speak on that issue is exactly how and why I got into public service. As mentioned in my introduction, I'm a lawyer by profession. My office was just down in one of these buildings. I did quite well practicing law, and life was hunky-dory. And I could have still been doing this and be doing quite well, had my own weekends, and life would have been great. But I chose to get involved in public service, and I'm not unique in that. Anybody who does that, be it they're running for school trustee, or for city council, or at the provincial level or federal level, any one of us who decides to put their name on the ballot. And we've got my good friend Fred Sherman here who've done that as well, and thank you for doing that. Anybody who decides to put their name on the ballot is by sheer motivation, pure and simple, is because they want to improve their community. Because they want to play a role in making a difference, in making sure when the laws are being created, when rules are being put together, when regulations are being debated, that you have a say. There's a voice from your community which is persuading individuals, bringing that point of view. That's why you do it. This is Canada. You don't get into politics to make money. There are other countries you do that. Right? Not in our country. We have a very strong democracy in Canada. And we do it is because we want to build a strong community. Because we want to build vibrant neighborhoods. That's why we do it. And we're very lucky for it. So my first message to you is get involved. Right? It's a cliche, we all talk about it, get involved, give back to the community and this and that. I can tell you from my personal experience, if you get involved, if you run for office, and I focus on that and I'll come to another topic, but if you do that, win or lose, you are contributing to your community. You are really saying, I'm going to take ownership. I want to make a difference. I want to put my name on the ballot. I want to go out there and then fight the fight. Right? All the other stuff, the accolades and stuff, fine, you become minister, blah, blah, blah. But it's the stuff that, from my personal perspective, that stuff that I'm able to do along with my community for my city, that's the stuff I'm most proud of. Be it making sure that our campuses are state-of-the-art, they're got good infrastructure, or our hospitals are growing and are able to provide the best healthcare, or that we are building a light rail transit system in our city so that we are really become a 21st century city. On and on. All these things really do matter because they improve our quality of life. They make our city and our community more attractive, that make us stay here and live here and raise our families. So that's a very important element to it, and they're really important tangible results. I think many people often see politics as a gab fest, or a group of people who are really not accomplishing anything. And that may be true at some times, right? Because we do focus on the negative about politics, but I think we accomplish way more than what's not being done. If it was not the case, the system would have not lasted. We would have gotten rid of this system and brought something else. Right? And again, no human being is perfect, so can't expect perfection from anyone. But we collectively are able to do a lot because of it. We have a strong democracy. So that's one element. I mean, that's my personal reason for getting for running for public office, and doing what I do is because I really wanted to make sure that there's a strong voice from our community. I wanted to really make sure that things that are important to our community are being vocalized. I wanted to be inside the room where decisions are made, so that I can help influence those decisions. That was one of my key motivations. And the best way to do that is, of course, being ingrained in your community, learn from your community on a daily basis, talk to a lot of people, and then take those issues and you take it in the rooms where decisions are made, so that those decisions have the complexion, has the flavor, has the nuance of your community embedded, so that it can be then used and could be of benefit to our community. That's number one. But that is not the only way of building a strong community. That is not the only way of helping our community. Otherwise, we all would have to be politicians to do it. What you do every day in the community, by simply volunteering in things that matter most to you, is helping to build a strong community. That's how I got involved in politics. I was a community volunteer. I practiced law in the daytime, and I volunteered a lot in the evenings. And this is, I'm sure, it's no foreign to you. You do this. You have very strong professional lives, you have family lives, but then you carve out time out of your already very busy life, and you engage in some community work, volunteer work. Why? Because you care about an issue, because it matters to you. That's why you're doing it. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. Nobody's telling you, you shall do it. Nobody's telling you you do it, you're going to get a tax credit for it. Nobody's saying you'll do it and that's the only way you're able to get some benefit in society. No, you're doing it totally from the goodness of your heart, because you believe in your neighborhood, because of you believe in your own community or your city. And I really strongly believe that is how we're building such an incredible society. At a city level, at a provincial level, and the country as a whole, is that citizens are really engaged. Citizens are saying, you know what, I'm going to take things in my matter, not in an unlawful way, not in civil disobedience, but in complement to everything that their governments are doing. They are making sure that they're being part of the society. And I think that is a key fundamental. Every time I'm speaking to young people, I really sort of try to emphasize how important it is that they be engaged in the community, because they are making an influence. They are having a voice. They actually then yield power in making things happen. Because imagine one thing, in absence of volunteers, in absence of community engagement, if we all of us just stopped doing it, do you think our society will be able to function the way it does today? It won't. Think about it. If we only say people who get paid to do their jobs, whatever that job may be, our jobs may be, we'll only just do that. Imagine that society, where we all become so selfish that we'll just only be focused on our very, very personal tiny need. Even such well-educated society like ours, I think we'll see some significant challenge. But because we haven't taken that stand, because we all say, you know what, my quality of life is so much dependent on other people's quality of life. I will do well if my whole community does well. I will benefit if my neighborhood is green. My city will be a better place to live if there's no homelessness. And the list can go on and on. And I think that that's a huge testament to our society. A lot of young people come to me, and I mentor quite a few who talk about volunteering, and at times trying to be very strategic about volunteering. Or if I do this, can I get into med school? If I did that, can I get into law school or X, Y, or Z? Right? And I'm sure we've all have heard that. And my response always is a very simple one to them. Said, you know what? If you really want to do good, if you really want to help yourself grow as a person, do what's close to your heart. Work on an issue that matters to you, because your energy, your compassion, your enthusiasm will come out of that stronger than anything else. And if you think if there's only one thing that matters to you, then you just do that one thing. You don't need to have 5 things on your resume. Because then you will do that one thing so well. You will make such a concrete difference in doing that one thing that people will see through that. And people will recognize you for that. And people will appreciate you for that. And then the reward comes. Opportunities come. Doors get open. And you're successful. And so I think that's an important thing. The other issue that I hear often, and my thoughts are really sort of evolving on this particular issue. One of the issues that should concern all of us is the level of political participation we see, especially come election times. We constantly see the trend is, especially in Canada, the number of people voting continues to go down. Right? In the last provincial election, 49 point some odd % people voted. Less than 50% people voted. Personally, it's really troubling. Personally, really troubling for somebody who's an immigrant to this country. And one of the biggest reasons my parents came to this great country is because the one I was born in, we did not have the right to vote. Because there was no democracy. Because my father spent 9 months as a political prisoner, and his crime was he led a pro-democracy march, asking for people to have a right to vote. So here we are in a society where our right to vote is so entrenched in the Constitution, nobody can take away. And for us not to exercise that right makes me cry. Right? Because we're so lucky. Because you know, as we speak right now, there are people dying in some countries fighting for this right that you and I have, just like that. Right? Nothing. It takes all of 15 minutes really to go out and vote, and it's so painless. Maybe that's why it's boring and people don't do it. So I think a lot about this. So where is that apathy coming from? Why is it that our society is not voting? And I have some thoughts on that, but one of the thoughts I will share with you on it, and that probably make the last point and open for any questions. One of my thoughts on that is maybe our society is not apathetic. And this theory of mine is evolving. Maybe we are not. Maybe what's happening is that we live very busy lives. There's a lot going on. The amount of things we human beings now do in 2013 in 24 hours a day, I don't think our predecessors were doing that much stuff in one day. Right? We're a multitasking nation. We multitask all the time. We're doing 2 or 3 times we live very busy lives. So therefore, we're now starting to be very picky in manner in which we have an impact on our society, because we can't do everything. So you will think, okay, Yasir, what are you talking about? This thought came to me a couple of years ago when I was at the breast cancer run, which takes place every September in Ottawa. It was just around at Parliament Hill. There were 10,000 people. 9,999 of them were dressed in pink. Half of them had all kinds of t-shirts and wigs and all kinds of stuff. And they were enthusiastic, they were energetic, it was a cold day, fall day, but they were there to do a 5K run to raise money for breast cancer research. And millions of dollars got raised that day. Just start noticing how many people come out to these things. Because people live busy lives, they want to make a difference, and they have decided where they're going to make a difference. They have chosen an area which is most important to them personally. So if you have a mom who fought breast cancer, that's something that probably you're passionate about. And you will go out there and knock on doors, tell your friends, your neighbors and your friends, come join me in the team. You'll call your network, you'll put a message on your Facebook saying, pledge me, help me raise some money. Right? You'll do all the kind of things that we politicians do all the time too. We knock on door asking for your vote, and we ask for your money to help run and do the thing. People say, oh no, I don't want to get involved in. But for an issue that matters the most to them and had a direct impact on their lives, they're willing to do that same thing. So the thought occurred to me, say, you know what, no, we are engaged in society. We are making a difference. We are improving it. Just because we have such busy lives, just because we're doing so much, we have chosen ways in which we want to make a difference. We're sophisticated enough now to know how I want to build a better community. And we are sort of taking a very micro approach to that. Somebody is breast cancer for someone else, is MS for somebody else, and I'm using health conditions because they seem to be more prevalent, but issues range, be it affordable housing, be it fighting poverty. So it's interesting. It's interesting that we do help, we do shape in building a better community, but we are all doing it in different ways. And I think where I'm spending a lot of my time lately is thinking on how can we harness it all. As a public servant, as your representative, how can we, those in government making decisions on your behalf, can take that energy, can take that engagement, can take those motivations and passion on certain issues and pull it together that could result in better rules and regulations and laws. And I will welcome your ideas in that regards. Thank you very much for your attention. Yes.
Have you noticed that the indigenous populations have less representation in terms of volunteering?
Question is if immigrant communities have less representation. Yes and no. I mean, I look at my, for example, Ontario legislature, and I would argue is quite represented, quite well represented. And I'm not going by proportion numbers. We've got, 2 African Canadian, 1 male, 1 female member. We have 2 Chinese Canadian members. We have 3 members of Muslim faith. We've got several members of Sikh faith. I mean, the list goes on, and quite a few of them now are in cabinet. There always could be more, of course. And I mean, part of the things that I spend a fair bit of time is encouraging people to run. But I think there's a journey that takes place for one to get to running for office. And that journey involves obviously being very engaged in your community and being part of your community and being passionate about issues and then running. And immigrants do face a certain challenge when they come new to country, is they get focused on building their own lives first. So though that journey kind of gets a bit truncated, right? And I think question for us is how do you help facilitate that journey so that people can get as quickly integrated in the society, and then we want to take part in representing that society as well. So that's a definitely work in progress. But I have to tell you, I spend a lot of time, especially with young people from diverse backgrounds, and a lot of them more and more are thinking. But they're also then coming along saying, yeah, but maybe politics is just one way of maybe doing it. Maybe there's another way of doing it as well. So it's a matter of encouraging them going in that right direction. I personally think, as I started my comments earlier today, that politics is probably one of the most important ways of shaping the society, and that's why I got involved, because that's where decisions are made, and I want to be part of those decision making so that my community's needs are very much front and center. Jide.
Yes, I was thinking, I think the analysis is correct, but however it means that we as citizens have actually made democracy a choice, which it shouldn't be. So is it time to legislate voting?
That's a very good question, whether democracy is a choice and whether we can legislate and make voting mandatory. And there are countries like Australia, as you know, where voting is mandatory. And, you know, and I've gone back and forth on this issue. I spent a fair bit of time thinking about, you know, political apathy and how do we engage more people. I don't know, and I just recently become a father, so, you know, I'm learning. Thank you. I'm learning. I'm reading a lot on parenting, right, and how to be a good parent. And one of the things that you often read about that is you'll tell your child, don't do this. Guess what? 9 out of 10 times they're gonna do it. So I'm not sure if we tell people you shall vote. The law says you shall vote. If you're going to somehow increase the compliance rate, just because that, I mean, we have criminal code which says thou shalt not kill, and here's the punishment for it. There's murders that take place. So that's one way, and the other way of, you know, again, going to parenting analogy is a positive reinforcement. How can we make it that it really becomes essential for citizens to say, you know, I should vote. It's important to vote because it is in my best interest to vote. And I think that approach probably is something we need to explore first before we go to the legislative route and determine what those incentives really are. Saying this conversation and action around it needs to take place now, because the trend in the last 20 years, if you look at it, at all 3 levels of government, is a disturbing trend. And as soon as you start going below 50%, you very much seriously undermining the legitimacy of our political institutions, because very small part of people are deciding who should be making the decisions, right? So that, I think, is key, and that's why I'm trying to raise and sort of consider these issues as much as possible. Sir?
Yeah. Instead of legislating, don't you think we should look at another option? Because this society is one of the most internet-connected society in the world. And if you notice the trend among the young ones, 18 to 30, they are well connected. They are actively on one gadget or the other. And our voting system or our voting law is the same as it was 40 years ago, as it is now. And if they can be given an option whether to go online so that they can do it within their gadgets, I believe that can actually raise the numbers of voters that we have.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. There has to be some sort of a technological solution employed, right? We're a society that's so much interconnected, as you said, a society which is so obsessed with their smartphones and technology, and so much of our reliance now is on technology to make our lives so much more efficient. The challenge is that democracy is also like our constitution, for example, they are sacred traditions. You know, a lot of work and sacrifice have gone into building them. So there is that competing interest is that you don't want to take away that sacred institution. Come to a parliamentary session and you will see so many of the rituals that we have still in place from the days when the king created the court, the parliament, to have some sort of check on him. And we're still following it through. So I think that evolution needs to take place as well. Now, I said this, and I agree with you, but I'll share with you something that I participated in recently, and with the decision we made. Recently, as the president of the Ontario Liberal Party, I had the great honor of organizing the leadership convention when Premier McGuinty, after his retirement, and that was a process. A lot of good people worked, and we put this thing together, and we were sitting down and deciding how people are going to vote. Right, it's a delegated convention, and we said we can have people vote electronically, even in that one particular building, and we all agreed that we're going to have paper voting. You know why? Paper never fails. Seriously, it never fails. You have a ballot, you have 6 names on it, you line up, you got a pencil and a screen, you went behind it, you put an X, you put it in a box, and we count it. Technology fails. When NDP recently did their convention and they had online voting, somebody hacked into their system. Their voting was delayed by 6 hours. So that's I just raised that as a real challenge around technology, and because there's so much at stake, because it's such a sacred system of ours that there needs to be an evolution. We need to figure out how to mix the two together.
Tell us a bit of some of the challenges you encountered in the process of getting to where you are today.
Thank you for asking that question, and I'll tell you my simple answer: there was no challenge. Okay, what was involved was a lot of hard work, and that still continues. Ask me how many hours I sleep in the night, and I'll tell you the challenge. But I mean, and this is the point I often make, and it's based on my experience, and it may not be true for you, because we all are different, and we have different circumstances. But in my instance, I always say to young people especially, 2 ingredients: education and lots of hard work. And there's no stopping you. Right? I came to this country, age 15, spoke very limited English, had a much thicker accent, limited vocabulary, got into the school system, and that's what I did for God knows how many years. Right? High school, 1 undergrad, 2 undergrad, law school. And it just went on and on and on and on, and worked very, very hard. I applied to law school 1 time, didn't get it. 2nd time, didn't get it. 3rd time, I got it. Right? But didn't stop until I got in. So, which asked me then, I was very ashamed to tell anybody, but I'm very happy to tell you that because persistence pays off. It's just hard work. We're very lucky that we live in a society where there are opportunities, and the matter of getting those opportunities is just working harder. Now, let's be frank. As immigrants, you may have to work 3 times harder than the other person. Great! We'll be more successful. I have no problem with that. Nobody should have any problem with that. If you work 3 hours more than the other person. Yes, we've come to a new country and we're building a new life, and it's, it's a different way of doing things. But it's a great country, and how can we help build it even stronger? So, that's my experience. Again, it may be for different. I think what's needed is a drive and ownership of the community. one of the things that my father said to me as soon as we came to Canada, said, now kids, one thing, there's no such thing as back home. You know, often say, oh, back home this, back home this. You know what, folks? Home is where you live. Right? This is home. My dad said this. There's no back home. I don't want to hear this. Because we're not going anywhere. This is home. We're here. Your mom and dad and your brother and sister live all here. Home, this, and now you work at home. You help build a strong home. And so that's, and you start building, and you start getting involved, and you start getting engaged, and you, and I, for me, I have to say, it was just hard work, and that opportunities open, and doors open, and more people came to us, offered to help, more people came, offered to help. So, and I will, personally, that will remain as a focus. So I think it's taking ownership. It's saying this is home, and we want to make a difference, and we want to build a community together, and taking that active role can help take us a long way in getting successful in political engagement as well. Yes, sir.
First, I'd like to say we are proud of you representing Ottawa in the Queen's Park. I'd like to see, how do you overcome some of the opposition in Queen's Park? And like, you are immigrants in this land, are faced with so many people, probably maybe with your name, they might say, oh, your name is not what people are used to here in Canada. And also, what do you see as your future, maybe 10 years from now?
Yeah. So to your first question, I don't see that opposition. I think what I see, in fact, more people's desire to learn more about you and wanting to pronounce your name correctly, which is fantastic. As much as I would try to, a lot of last names here today that I would have to ask you 3 times and help me to pronounce it properly. And I think that matters, that level of respect that you say, is it Naqvi? Can you just help me again? Right? And just be respectful. And I say, well, Naqvi, like N-A-Q-V-I, just the way. Oh, okay. Right? And I think that's the hallmark of Canadian society. We have matured at a point that we're very respectful. We understand that not everybody's a Smith or a Jones, or, you know, we have different last names. And it's okay and it's polite to work with each other to be able to now pronounce. And then which is amazing, because that leads to some really other interesting conversations. What's the origin of your name? What's the meaning of your name? Where did your name come from? Oh, how long have you been in Canada? Right? You can turn this into a coffee. Great networking opportunity. One of the things when I practice law in the city, and I do this to this day, is, and talk about this as a business network, right? So we talk networking first. Carry your business card at all times. I have them in my pocket, a stack of them, every day. Just like I put my wallet in my pocket, I make sure I put business cards in my pocket. And I give as many as I can. And I'll tell you why. When I introduced myself, I said, hi, I'm Yasir Naqvi. Yasir Naqvi is not the most common name. It's not the most easy one to remember. It's the one which doesn't just slips out of your tongue. Some people now, because my name has gotten known in the community, but human beings are visual. We like to read, we like to feel things. But when I say I'm Yasir Naqvi and I give you my card, at the same time, and as the person, I'm actually, you know, you can see the relief on their face, like, oh, Yasir. Because they can read it, and they can remember it, and they'll look at it later on in the day as well, say, ah, Yasir. But then you open the door. Right there when you give the card, I don't know if you do this or not, I always ask for your card. Oh, so do you have a card? Oh, yeah. As a young professional in the city, that's how I built my business. So I always collected cards, and within 48 hours, you got an email from me. Wally remembers that. We've been friends for a long time. You got an email from me. Hi, it was great meeting you at the Nigerian Professional and Business Network breakfast meeting. We should get together for coffee sometime. You don't know how many some incredible people I've met that way. and got to know them. And told them what I do, and they've told me what they do, and then put them in my contact list, and they put me their contact list, and shared business that way. I cannot tell you how those people helped me get elected. Because when I decided to run, guess what? Wally got an email from me. And then a call saying, Wally, I'm running. He came to my very first meeting. And then helped me bring people say, you know, I know Yasir Naqvi. Great guy, young guy, full of energy. He'll be a great representative. And that's how we do it. See, I mean, people often say, oh, I want to run. Okay, let's work in building a network. Oh, I want to run next election. What's the next election? 6 months from now. Time's kind of run out. I'll be honest. But if you said to me, I want to run in 2018, said, aha, let's work on a plan. Guarantee you 9 out of 10 you'll get elected if you worked on it. You build a network. You impressed people. You brought people together. You really created a group of people who believed in you because you helped them and they helped you. Right? So it's a process that takes place. So to your question, I mean, I use my diversity as an asset. To me, it's a way of breaking down barriers. It's a way of educating about my own culture. It's a way of learning about other people's culture, and it's a way of also highlighting the fact that our province is growing, our province is diversifying, and we have to then bring voices from all backgrounds so that we are making decisions that then can properly impact all those voices as well. Future, my own personal future, it's in your hands. Right? There may be an election sometime very soon, and my name will be on the ballot, and if you think that I'm serving you well, I hope you will hire me again. To me, this is very much an employer-employee relationship. I work for you. Your taxes pay my salary. And that makes it an employer-employee relationship. And the only difference is that I don't have 1 or 2 people on a board deciding to hire me. I have 120,000 people in this riding making that decision. And that's why when I go door to door every week, and especially during election time, for me, every time I go to a door is a job interview, where somebody's got to decide whether I'm going to hire him or not. And those conversations matter. I'm really obviously focused on representing my city. This city has given me everything that I've got, and I love it passionately. And there's always evolving and growing challenges. My new role, being a cabinet minister, of course, is a very exciting opportunity to serve the whole province. I've been given a very interesting and dynamic portfolio, very challenging as well, and that's of labor. Especially in this tough economic times, we need to make sure that our economy is constantly growing and it's competitive. So that's an opportunity for me to work and work across the province. So I'm really thrilled. It is an amazing honor to be a member of the Executive Council. Again, I walk into that room, the cabinet room, and I just always think about the heritage, and think about the people who must have sat around the table. I can guarantee you up to maybe 20 years ago, nobody who looked like me sat in that around the table, right? And that's just incredible. This is the collective effort of our community that we are growing and shaping policies. So I will just keep my head down and will continue to work, and one day either you will, just like my friends came to me and say, Yasir, I think you should run, I think you'll represent the community well. I'm confident sometime from now, some of my friends will come and say, I think Yasir, it's time. I think you've done your best. Do something else. And then I will do something else. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
On behalf of the Nigerian Professional and Business Network, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, I hereby present this appreciation award to Honorable Ontario Minister Yasir Naqvi for your contribution as a keynote speaker at the Ottawa Business Breakfast with the Leaders, March 23rd. So I'd like to say
Thank you, my friend.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.